Hey everyone, Kevin here. We are entering another large cycle of teachers wanting to leave education right now as we come up on the end of the calendar year or first semester. And as a result, I have been pretty darn busy with coffee chats because of it, especially for those who are working in instructional design actually. And a question I'm getting frequently made me want to make this video. The question of which is better, freelance, contract, or full time work? Now, this is a really good question, and one that, as you can imagine, isn't all that easy for me to answer because all three types of ID work exist just as it does in any profession. The short answer, though, well, none of them are inherently better than the others. It more depends on what you in the moment want career wise. So, I'm going to cover each of these in a broad sense and discuss why each type of work has its merits, the pros and cons, and how to decide what's right for you. And I will begin with full time work because it is the one most people are well acquainted with, like the transitioning teachers who have been asking me this question in the first place. For the pros of full time work, well, you have pretty good job security, and that stability is always a bonus. You won't have to go looking for a new job as often, and this gives you a more predictable work schedule. Plus, full time workers are an investment, and companies want to see you grow into new roles as you go along, which means you generally also feel as if you are part of their company culture. They want you to feel like part of a team and build relationships with your coworkers. To facilitate that, often you're given meaningful paid trainings to advance your career and develop new skills that will translate into your current and future roles within the company. On top of that, benefits are generally better with full time work, and you are usually given good paid time off or PTO, along with health insurance and retirement packages. On the other hand, all of this is a double edged sword. Your fixed salary is great until you suddenly need more flexibility when you have a lifestyle change. If you need a raise and can't get it too, then that might be a problem for you. Plus, being part of a team and work culture can lead to stress in the long run because you can get too emotionally invested in your work, take on too much responsibility, and have no work life balance. My transitioning teachers, you know what that did, right? Burnout and stagnation. So it's tricky. Now, when it comes to contract work, though, that can likewise be great or not, depending on the situation. Contract work in general is really on the rise and is becoming more popular in the tech industry these days, particularly in instructional design, where most of the jobs are contract based. I am a contractor myself, and often contractors make more than full time employees, particularly if overtime is required, and pay less in taxes. There is also the bonus that more work mandated expenses can get deducted from your taxes, since often you have to pay for things like the articulate suite yourself. Something I also frequently have to tell new IDs they can do, by the way. There is also a great deal of flexibility with working hours and working location, since most roles are remote for contractors. Again, I'm remote. Plus, there are more upskilling opportunities from working on multiple projects in shorter periods of time, such as the standard 6-month contract IDs are characteristically given. This is great for gaining experience you can use later and showcase on your resume and portfolio. Unfortunately, you will often need to handle your own taxes, which can be a bit of a chore sometimes, and only some contract positions offer benefits. That's kind of hit and miss these days, and it's something to pay attention to. Same thing with overall support as well. Some jobs are great in providing it, others are kind of laissez faire about managing you, and that can occasionally leave you to your own devices. This is also why, unless you have a great contracted team, it is also frequently an issue that you can feel disconnected from your coworkers. Again, all of that really depends on the company in question, but it is something to be aware of. Worst of all, contracts will inevitably end, meaning that you are almost always in job search mode, something that can be taxing and run counter to your long term career goals. It is also tricky. Finally, freelancing is also on the rise and has many similar pros and cons to contract work, actually. Freelancers have the highest level of flexibility and independence to take on multiple clients all at once without committing to one company at a time like the other two types we've discussed. You may have heard the term gig worker at some point, which is essentially what freelancers are. And they have total ability to control their work life balance and can choose when to be the most productive and communicative with clients, not to mention have the choice of clients in the first place. This also means that they have the most exposure to different industries and frequently gain the most knowledge than people who are full time or contracted workers. However, the competition in freelancing is immense. There are so many freelancers out there, and getting your resume built up to the point where clients want to give you a project over someone else is hard. I dabbled with freelancing early on in my transition on one of the most common sites, Upwork. To put it honestly, though, I couldn't gain any real traction on there, and navigating that site was genuinely daunting for me. To put a point on it, the work is infrequent unless you get very, very lucky. Plus, there isn't any PTO, and being your own boss means that you have to manage clients totally on your own, a task that can be difficult if you have a particularly difficult one. Also, that isolation is often an issue, and that is a blessing and a curse as well. But I hope this overview has shown that there is no easy answer to which one is best. It depends on what you need and your mindset as you approach a new career or thinking about just doing something different, as can be seen by the somewhat oversimplified table I have up on screen here. When it comes down to deciding, though, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Do you value security or freedom more? A huge salary or stability more? Working on site or remotely more? And do you want a team based environment or do you prefer isolation? Whatever you choose will have positives and negatives, so just make your decision wisely and for what will benefit you in the moment. And as always, if you need assistance making that choice or need any further guidance, I am always here to help. See you next time.